Hey folks, Among Us has been pretty darn popular, and a lot of people as a result have made Among Us paper games or paper computer games, and I'm going to take a look at all of them. We're gonna look at the different Among Us games. We're gonna see how different people have tried to create the Among Us mechanics in paper games, which is a hard thing to do. So it's gonna be interesting to see how so many different people have approached it in different ways and come up with totally different games, but based on the same Among Us concept. We're also gonna see what you wouldn't expect. We're gonna see the beginnings of an Among Us paper game, paper computer game, shared universe. That is gonna be interesting. Let's do this. Turbo Funcrafts made a really beautifully recorded Among Us paper game out of cardboard. This one you actually have to turn knobs to actually control the game itself, so you can actually play like it's a video game. But the sacrifice for this is that it's not really like the Among Us, the actual Among Us game, because it's basically just an avoid the obstacles game. And yeah, some of the obstacles are imposters, but I mean, you could do the exact same game with, you know, any characters. You could make a Mario thing. So this is more like a really cool Among Us themed, you know, craft project than it is an Among Us game, but still really beautifully crafted, great game. Uncrazy UT made an Among Us paper game which has an interesting way of using the Among Us mechanics. It turns it basically into a board game, except on paper instead of a board. Basically, you travel through the Skeld by, you know, rolling dice, moving to spaces, just like a board game, and it uses symbols on the particular spaces to show, you know, like where you're supposed to do a task, you know, where sabotage can happen, that sort of thing. Hargoon Crafts made another paper game of Among Us, which is also based on the format of a board game. He actually made really beautiful paper figures for the game, and his cover artwork is really beautiful. So Adarsh P made two Among Us paper games, and both of these are board games, but they take the same concept in different directions. The first one is called Among Us the Skeld, and this one sort of has a backstory. Basically, the imposter openly kills a crewmate in front of the others, so now the others have to reach the emergency button before the imposter kills them too. So that's a pretty cool story. The board isn't as graphical as the other one, but it has a lot more interaction points, and you have to sort of wind your way around it. The second game is just called Among Us, but this one is more like the other Among Us board games we've seen, but it gives you more freedom. This one you can kind of, when you roll the dice, you can move that many spaces in any direction you want, which is pretty cool. That brings it closer to the, you know, the freedom of walking around in Among Us. Well, those so far are all like board games, but there's got to be some that are not like that, right? Well, yes, there are, and it turns out there's a few. The first one is by JCC Paper Games, who's, you know, been part of the PCG community. This game, it's called Among Us Paper Game, but it's basically sort of a swamp survival style game, imaginary game, where it's single player and you play it with your imagination. You kind of like just imagine what happens. And you can play it with multiple players as well. The cool thing about it is that you can make your own skins for it, and it is available on the PCG shop right now if you want to print it out and play it. The PCG shop is linked in the description as always. And Starry made an Among Us paper game. It's called Among Us Story Mode. And this game, it's a really interesting style for an Among Us game because this is based on a choose your own adventure, where basically you, like, on the page something happens and then you have to choose what you want to do, and you choose by turning to the page that it says. So Anne Starry created a whole cast of Among Us characters. Basically, you play as one of them. Like, this is a single player game. It's not a multiplayer Among Us, but you follow the other characters around. You still have to win in the same way that you win in Among Us. You're a crew member, so you have to win. Like, you have to not be ejected. You have to find the imposter and stop them, and you have to complete tasks, that sort of thing. Cami Fanny made another Among Us paper game. This one is another choose your own adventure style Among Us game, and basically it's the same idea. You have to choose which path to take by turning to different pages. There's multiple endings, there's multiple choices, and just like Anne Starry, she has her own cast of characters, and actually some of them are the same people from Anne Starry's game, or at least they have the same names. We've got he and we've got Bob. Now, okay, granted, it could be a coincidence. It could be a coincidence because, you know, like these characters don't have the same accessories that they do in Anne Starry's game. But the fact that it's two of them, I mean, dude, come on. Shared universe. I like to believe that this could be a shared universe, that these two games are connected, that these two exact same characters had an adventure in Anne Starry's game, and then they went on to have a different adventure in Cami Fanny's game. Of course, it could just be a coincidence. But I mean, I don't know. He is kind of an unusual name. Cami Fanny made another Among Us paper game. This one is a mini paper game. It's called Among Us Imposter Mode. And this one is another choose your own adventure style game where you have to make choices. And it has some characters from the first game. Not all of them, and most of the cast are original, but it does have a couple characters that carry over. Shared universe. Now this game you're playing as the imposter, which means once again you do have to make choices, but some of the choices you have to make are very interesting to say the least.
I was watching cams. Do you want to kill? I think I want to kill him since he's all by himself. Flip to 2 pages. So it says Bob watched us secretly and makes an emergency meeting voting me out. Since we are the maker of the game, when our friend is playing, we're gonna hide Bob.
Oh, that was evil. Well played, Cami Fanny. Well played. And Anne Starry made another paper game, another Among Us paper game, another one following the Imposter. But this one is unlike his first Among Us game and unlike Cami Fanny's Imposter mode game. This one is called Among Us Destroy Them. And you play as the imposter, but it's not choose your own adventure style. This is sort of like more like a traditional paper game or like, you know, maybe a swamp survival style game. I don't know. Anyway, you play as the imposter, and this is interesting because you actually start on the imposter ship. So this is the first time you get to see things, you know, where the imposters come from a little bit. And you see you get to kind of explore around this imposter ship and see their, you know, perfectly sane weapons bay, their weapons turret, and you have to man the turret and shoot down 10 ships. They have a negativity center on the ship. And finally, you have to actually fly through space yourself to try to infiltrate the Skeld. Get aboard it and infiltrate it. And then you actually, spoiler alert, spoilers you guys, be warned, you kill Dan and take his place. You take his costume and become Dan. Dan being one of the characters from Anne Starry's first game. Shared universe. So, yeah, that game is connected to the previous game. It explains, because in the first game we saw that Dan was the imposter. Now in this game we see Dan's backstory. So I guess this is actually sort of like a prequel to the first game. Alright folks, now here's where I acknowledge that I'm not just totally an impartial observer of this, because I am sort of in the fray of this game myself, of making Among Us games, because I did make my very own Among Us paper computer game. Yes, that's right, as far as I'm aware, my Among Us paper computer game is the first and only Among Us paper computer game that has ever been made. For those who don't know, paper computer games are different than paper games. Paper computer games are for 2 players. They're for, you know, one person to basically say what they're gonna do, and then the person who made the game tells them if it works, you know, tells them what happens. So my game is called Among Us Rise of the Observers, and I wanted to kind of add something to the Among Us universe. Like, do something different, you know, like let us find out something that we didn't already know about Among Us by playing this game. And that is the observers. Now, observers are a different type. They're not crewmate and they're not imposter either. They are something else, and they have their own mission, separate from that of the crewmates and definitely separate from that of the imposters. They're against the imposters. So an observer will try to stop the imposters if they can, but they have their own secret mission that they want to accomplish aboard the ship. And guess what, you guys? Time for some shared universe, because this game takes place on the very same skeld as Anstarry's 2 games, and this game takes place during Anstarry's first game, and it stars the character of iDot. Now, in the first game, we thought that iDot was kind of an idiot. He just has the dumb, post-it note on his face, and you just take him for, somebody not important. But in this game, we find out iDot actually has a very, he very much knows what he's doing. So this game ties into the first game. You see, why. Like in the first game, we saw that iDot was taking too long to pull the lever. Now we know why. He was trying to install an algorithm on the Skeld's computers. Why? We don't know yet. The observer's true purpose has yet to be revealed. But during the game, you actually, spoilers alert, guys, spoilers. You actually are ejected, and you have to complete your mission in space, because observers are the only type that can be ejected and still survive. Yeah, that's my Among Us paper computer game. There's a video of it linked in the description. Hopefully I'm going to get it up onto the PCG shop soon. So yeah, my paper computer game is connected to Anstarry's games. Anstarry's games are connected to Cami Fanny games. Folks, or at least maybe they are. Folks, it is the beginning of a bona fide Among Us paper game / paper computer game shared universe. And I am, for one, am very curious to see this universe grow. I want to see where it's going to go. I want to see what happens in this universe. Who are the observers? What will happen to iDot and Bob and he? I don't know. Guess we'll have to find out. Or maybe not, because Among Us is declining in popularity already. So, who knows? I guess maybe we'll never find out. This could be the end, the beginning and end of this universe. Either way, we will see. I would be very curious to see if you guys come up with anything. Maybe I'll make an updated version of this video to include your games if you make any. And yeah, that is all I've got to say for now. That's all the Among Us games I could find on the internet. Thanks so much for watching, folks. You guys are the best. And yeah, PCG something. Shared universe.